यार हमारे पास एक बहुत एक स्ट्रॉन्ग एसेट है जिसको हमें मोनेटाइज करना चाहिए, e-commerce. So in many ways this disruption of supply chain has also forced a lot of people to do that. कि यार अब मैं अभी सप्लाई दूँ ना दूँ.
ये भी हमने देखा कि पाकिस्तान से कंपनीज बाहर भी जा रही हैं, बंद हो रही हैं, बट जनरली एज अ इकोसिस्टम विद इन द ई-कॉमर्स उसको आप कैसे देख रहे हैं?
Logistics companies और जो बेसिकली जो इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर चाहिए होता है e-commerce के लिए, that didn't exist as much either. It went away from a discovery and only a discount based industry to one that is evolving towards more convenience based.
बहुत ज़्यादा टैक्स के ऊपर भी जा रहा है. पीपल आर लाइक अच्छा यार अब क्या होगा, पहले ही पेट्रोल डबल ट्रिपल हो चुका है और लास्ट ईयर भी रफली आई थिंक ई कॉमर्स के ऊपर 2 to 4% जो है वो तकरीबन टैक्स लगा.
It doesn't mean it's not price sensitive. They're a lot more intent driven. वो रिव्यूज़ पढ़ते हैं, वो सवाल पूछते हैं, वो प्राइस कंपैरिजन कर रहे होंगे एक वेबसाइट दूसरी वेबसाइट. बट देन हाउ डू यूज़ इट टू बिकम अ मोर प्रोडक्टिव बिजनेस, हाउ यू बिकम मोर कॉस्ट इफेक्टिव. उनसे काफ़ी हद तक चीज़ें सीखते हैं. एंड देन वी रियली ट्राई टू वर्क क्लोजली विद PSW टू हेल्प देम in building the right systems, to have the right controls, the right governance, the right visibility.
कंपनी पाकिस्तान में कैसे ऑपरेट कर रही है, पाकिस्तान के सर्कमस्टांसेस क्या हैं.
जो पाकिस्तान की एक्सपोर्ट होती है दैट्स हैपेंस थ्रू ये जो कंटेनर्स के थ्रू जो चीज़ें जाती हैं. इसमें जिस तरीके से वो एक्सपोर्ट होती हैं एंड ट्रैकिंग होती है, इट्स ट्रैकेबिलिटी इज़ डिफ़िकल्ट.
Ehsan, thank you so much for taking the time out. Last time we did a podcast and went super viral and amazing feedback. So I thought कि अभी I invite you back and ज़ाहिर है बहुत हालात चेंज हुए. I think जब हम लोग लास्ट टाइम बैठे और अभी बैठे, पॉलिटिकल सिचुएशन पाकिस्तान, इकोनॉमी और स्पेशली अभी तो ज़ाहिर है वर्ल्ड वाइड जो इवेंट्स हो रहे हैं उस वजह से भी ज़ाहिर है ऑयल प्राइसेस, जनरली डिजिटल इकोनॉमी. बट उसकी साइड के ऊपर हम लोग देख रहे हैं कि पाकिस्तान में बहुत ज़्यादा IT इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर के ऊपर काम हो रहा है, डिजिटलाइजेशन पे काम हो रहा है. देयर आर लॉट ऑफ टॉपिक्स, बट मुझे थोड़ा सा बताएं कि जो ओवरऑल आजकल हालात हैं पाकिस्तान के, स्पेशली इकोनॉमी वाइज, उसका इम्पैक्ट डिजिटल इकोनॉमी के कॉन्टेक्स्ट में, लाइक व्हाट डू यू सी स्पेशली एज समवन हु इज रनिंग दराज इन पाकिस्तान. ई-कॉमर्स के अंदर क्या आ रहा है, लाइक what are you like noticing on a very macro level?
Yeah, I think it's very easy to sort of look at, it's the recency trend, right? You can look at the last few months and have changed a lot of our opinions. Generally, people are a lot more pessimistic, not just here, everywhere in the world. But you also have to keep in mind that Pakistan's economy over the last few years has gone through, a good turnaround as well. There was a time that topic यही होता था कि default कर देंगे, आज कर देंगे, कल कर देंगे, and to evolve from that. And of course, it was not an easy path there. There was a lot of impact on taxation, on subsidies, on overall interest rates. But because of that, I think also, that obviously has a byproduct and impact on the digital economy as well, right? When interest rates are high and spending is being forced to be curtailed, तो उसमें obviously impact आता है digital companies को, e-commerce की तरफ भी. लोग देखते हैं कि जहाँ खर्चा कर रहा हूँ मुझे करना चाहिए या मुझे सेविंग करनी चाहिए. But during the same time you saw an emergence of a lot of digital banks and fintech solutions that have come up. So over the last few years you've seen that QR payments are now a lot more widespread than they used to be. Of course, there's still a long way to go. Digital banks have started doing good work and started penetrating into the economy. In terms of the number of users, जो even mobile apps use करते हैं banking के, what it was a few years ago versus what it is today, I think that evolution for digitization has been strong. और इसके साथ I think when this happens in an economy, as a business model, it also makes you question कि हमें किस तरीके से operate करना है. आपको याद होगा एक वक्त था जहाँ हर कंपनी $50-100 million रेज कर रही थी और इन्वेस्टर का माइंडसेट ये था कि ग्रो एट एनी कॉस्ट. एंड दैट माइंडसेट हैज़ ड्रामेटिकली शिफ्टेड. इसके साथ साथ ये भी हुआ है कि जो कैपिटल जो आ रहा था वो स्पेस पे नहीं आ रहा है. वो वक्त थोड़ा it's evolved, but you also see that companies that were prudent, that were thoughtful, and that grew in a sustainable way, they've survived this storm. And it's not like the storm has passed entirely. So it's a byproduct of what happens in the capital markets, because obviously money is more freely available, then every company will invest to try to take more market share. But the challenge actually becomes that when that turns, how quickly are you able to adjust? and I look at even Daraz as a business, that evolution has been the same for us. We've had to look at, ठीक है, ये business, this component of our business was not making money. Should we continue doing it? Yes, in a world where you can continue to invest blindly, it might make sense to do it. मगर अब जहाँ आपको फोकस करना है सस्टेनेबिलिटी पे, कस्टमर एक्सपीरियंस पे, और आपको मोनेटाइज करना है अपने एसेट्स, तो यू हैव टू बी अ लॉट मोर डिलिजेंट. And so I think this evolution also forced a lot of good in digitization as well, that it's not a house of cards, and the companies that were built on house of cards were not able to survive in these times. And I think that has forced all of us to really dig deep and figure out कि यार हमें क्या करना चाहिए as a business. And again, I'm speaking very much even from a Daraz perspective. What are the right business models we should focus on? कौन सी categories पे हमें invest करना चाहिए, कहाँ नहीं करना चाहिए, किस किस्म के sellers हमारे पास होने चाहिए, किस किस्म के customers हमारे पास होने चाहिए, हमें हमारी DEX और DEX infrastructure के साथ क्या करना चाहिए. And it allowed us to do a lot of good things. For example, अब जो Daraz Express है, it's one of the largest logistics companies in Pakistan. But we did that because we said, यार हमारे पास एक strong asset है जिसको हमें monetize करना चाहिए. That should be used to enable e-commerce. हमारे जो ad tech का business है, Daraz Marketing Solutions, that was also a byproduct of us, starting to focus on monetization. कि यार माशाल्लाह लाखों लोग हर रोज आ रहे हैं ऐप पे. How do we, allow companies to be able to benefit from the people that are coming? So this, and obviously, I think the last, and maybe we can talk about this in more detail too, the last 3-4 months have obviously been a lot more tumultuous. इसमें inventory planning management बहुत मुश्किल हो जाती है. And the most similar time I could think to this is एक वक्त था जब आपको याद होगा कि डॉलर हर रोज़ ऊपर नीचे हो रहा था. मुझे याद है उस वक्त में हम लोग बेसिकली जब एक सेलर को बोलते थे कि यार अब आप ये प्रोडक्ट आप दराज पे लगाएं या आप हमें हमारे वेयरहाउस भेजें, तो ये सोचता था कि यार मैं आज अगर नहीं भेजूंगा और कल भेजूंगा तो मुझे नफ़ा ज़्यादा मिलेगा. अगर मैं इन्वेंट्री अपने पास रखता हूँ, वो they were just started gambling. So in many ways, this disruption of supply chain has also forced a lot of people to do that. कि यार अब मैं अभी सप्लाई दूँ ना दूँ, cancellation, and as a company that's focused on customer experience, हमें बहुत इस पे we have to keep a very close and tight eye to make sure that customer experience is maintained. कि अगर कोई कस्टमर प्रोडक्ट ऑर्डर करे तो ये नहीं है कि सेलर के पास है और वो कैंसिल कर रहा है, because it's not, you don't have it physically in your hand, it's उसके warehouse पे है. So you have to make sure कि they're not cancelling it and really messing up the customer.
और जनरली जो e-commerce landscape है वो किस तरह evolve हो रहा है? ठीक है, एक तो economical challenges, financial challenges वो तो है, but as an industry, because I've seen like few other big sort of companies started like within Pakistan. ज़ाहिर है अब ये भी हमने देखा कि पाकिस्तान से कंपनीज बाहर भी जा रही हैं, बंद हो रही हैं. PNG is like the biggest example, और भी बहुत ज़्यादा. But generally as a ecosystem within the e-commerce, उसको आप कैसे देख रहे हैं?
देखिए, I think that's also evolved because एक वक्त था जहाँ हम लोग बहुत एक campaign led business, सारा e-commerce campaign led business था in many ways, and it was because हम कोशिश कर रहे थे that everyone really starts finding out about e-commerce, right? कि online shopping भी कुछ होती है. और उस वक्त आपको याद होगा कि logistics companies और जो basically जो infrastructure चाहिए होता है e-commerce के लिए, that didn't exist as much either, right? And what started happening is that it went away from a discovery and only a discount based industry to one that is evolving towards more convenience based. It doesn't mean that it's not price sensitive. We're in a country where GDP per capita is still very low. So हमारे जो consumers हैं वो हैं price sensitive. But now they've started, there's more, it's more based on the convenience, on the product assortment, on the customer experience, rather than कि भाई एक चीज़ आई है बहुत crazy sale है और वही मैं खरीदूंगा. एंड उसका एवोल्यूशन इसलिए भी हुआ है कि कंपनीज जिस तरीके से डिस्काउंट करती थी उस तरीके से प्रॉब्ली नहीं करेंगी, बिकॉज ऑब्वियसली लाइक इट गोज अगेन द फंडामेंटल इज द कैपिटल मार्केट्स, राइट? तो आप उस तरीके से डिस्काउंट्स नहीं डालेंगे जिस तरीके से आप डाल रहे थे जब आप प्योरली मार्केट कैप्चर करने की कोशिश कर रहे थे. एंड सो दिस एवोल्यूशन हैज स्टार्टेड फोर्सिंग द कंज्यूमर हैज इवॉल्व्ड. दे आर अ लॉट मोर इंटेंट ड्रिवन. वो रिव्यूज़ पढ़ते हैं, वो सवाल पूछते हैं. खैर वो ऑनलाइन फीडबैक देने में तो माशाल्लाह we've always been good, but we really go and do our due diligence. वो प्राइस कंपैरिजन कर रहे होंगे, एक वेबसाइट दूसरी वेबसाइट, सदर में किसी को फ़ोन कर रहे होंगे, जाके मार्केट में देख रहे होंगे So this evolution has happened that your consumer is a lot more intelligent and their expectation is a lot higher. इसके साथ साथ आपकी sellers के साथ भी evolution हुई है. अगर हम देखते हैं कि as Daraz an example, जो seller experience था 5-6 साल पहले, and I can confidently say, मुझे याद है शुरू में मेरे पास एक नोटबुक होती थी, मैं जिम जाता तो कोई दराज के बारे में कंप्लेन करता तो मैं लिखता था यार ये ऑर्डर नंबर है, फिर हम उस पर काम करते थे. अब अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह वो मुझे नहीं करना पड़ता है. इसका मतलब ये नहीं है कि कोई इश्यूज़ नहीं होते हैं, मगर उसमें हमने बहुत चीज़ें इम्प्रूव की हैं. मगर ये एक चीज़ जो बहुत इम्प्रूव भी हुई है वो है सेलर्स खुद, इसलिए उनकी मेच्योरिटी बढ़ गई है. अब अगर उनका काम है, अगर 99% ऑफलाइन है, 1% ऑनलाइन है, तो दे आर नॉट गोना केयर एज मच. But over time, जहाँ उनकी it's gone from 1 to 5 in some instances, some of the brands maybe 15-20% online है, तो फिर वो customer experience बहुत ज़रूरी हो जाता है. And then they have to make sure कि उस हिसाब से they take care of the industry and they take care of the customer.
And where do you see ये जो नए e-commerce brands आ रहे हैं? एक तो ये कि जो big companies were trying to get into this space in Pakistan, but like जो छोटे startups और वो सारे, and now the evolution of AI, especially the last few months, is just like getting insane. Like आप घर बैठे हैं, आप ऐप भी बना रहे हैं. मैंने खुद बैठ के क्लाउड के ऊपर कुछ चीज़ें बनाई और देख के मैंने कहा यार ब्रो ये तो इट्स जस्ट सो कूल. Like exactly. Otherwise you need to think, you need to talk to 10 people and like what not. So पूरा जो AI revolution है, especially the last few months, जैसे जैसे आगे हम लोग एजेंटिक AI और साइड पे जा रहे हैं, where do you see कि उसका impact e-commerce industry पड़ेगा, and especially for the small e-commerce brands?
I think it's a beautiful opportunity for small e-commerce brands. You also have to keep in mind that quietly, and the one thing we haven't talked about is that quietly over the last few years, आपका जो delivery infrastructure hai, it's gotten a lot stronger. You've had companies come in that are now doing, that are enabling a lot of these e-commerce companies कि वो delivery कर सकें successfully. So that's also, it's helped the industry. Now, when you think about specifically AI, I think what it allows us to do is, and at least from a business perspective, the focus has to be on productivity. And when you say productivity, it means कि maybe as a small e-commerce brand, अगर आप बोलते हैं मुझे पहले 6 लोग चाहिए थे ये करने के लिए, मुझे 6 लोगों की ज़रूरत नहीं है, which is productivity, right? So I think it's one is like you said, I can do phenomenal things, and that of course it's very important, and but then secondly, how do you take what you can do and make it to increase the productivity of your business? Because no matter how you look at it, there was a time जहाँ ideas सस्ते थे, execution बहुत महंगा था, distribution भी बहुत महंगा था. Execution in the sense कि अगर आपको product development करनी है तो आप बोलते हैं 6 महीने लगेंगे, ये बनेगा, फिर चला या नहीं चला, अगर नहीं चला तो फिर you have to reiterate. Okay, 1.5 साल निकल गया. अब ideas भी सस्ते हैं, execution भी सस्ती है, मगर distribution अभी भी महंगी है. So distribution is now becoming even more and more prized. Distribution means कि अगर मेरे app पे, I have millions of people coming, I should theoretically be able to test things out faster with them as well. कि यार maybe I build something that they try, they don't like it, I take it out, they like it, I double down on it. So I think that element also is now allowing smaller players to be able to punch above their weight. मगर इसमें like I said, 2 तरीके से सोचना है आपको. एक तो ठीक है आप चीज़ें बना सकते हैं, इसमें execution की speed तेज़ हो गई है, but then how do you use that to become a more productive business? How do you make your cost more, how do you become more cost effective? Because that is what everyone is doing. So like if I look at Daraz from an AI perspective, we're trying to see how do I make my, अगर जैसे मेरी commercial team में अगर मैं key account manager, he can manage X number of sellers, so how can he do 2X number of sellers that he can manage in terms of his coordination with them, their ease of doing stuff. In the same number of hours, can he manage 2X, 3X, 4X number of sellers and then be able to really cater to them? And it makes their life easier too. So I think the lens that businesses will look at is productivity. And it's sometimes easy to get lost in यार ठीक है मैं ये भी बना सकता हूँ मगर अगर आप प्रोडक्टिविटी के लेंस से नहीं देख रहे तो क्या बना के क्या करेंगे?
मेरा अगला वही था कि लाइक इसमें कितना फ्लफ है AI के अंदर. मतलब ठीक है अपॉर्चुनिटीज तो हमें बहुत ज़्यादा पता है, बेसिक MVP मैंने बनाना है तो मैं बना के क्लॉड है और इस तरह की बहुत सी लवेबल हैं ऐप्स हैं, उस पर करके आपने इट्स वेरी ईजी. बट देयर आर लॉट ऑफ टाइम्स आई थिंक बट जस्ट टू बी लाइक cool कि यार अच्छा हम भी ये कर रहे हैं आप कर रहे हैं, फिर in the end you're like अच्छा वो यहाँ वाली बात की like what do I want to get out of this?
Exactly.
And a lot of times like in my own business I started doing maths. It was like यार वो जो एक दो बंदे मैं निकालना चाह रहा हूँ ना वो उससे ज़्यादा की तो subscriptions मुझे पड़ रही हैं. You know what I mean? Because it's not like वो US
it's not cheap, हाँ, exactly. Cloud अगर आप using your tokens, it can get expensive.
So like where do you see कि मतलब ठीक है opportunities तो हैं, but do you also think like a lot of times whether it's e-com या और जगहों के ऊपर हम लोग बड़े fluff के अंदर भी फंस रहे हैं
इसमें fluff में फंसना बहुत आसान है. So I think like I said, जैसे अगर मैं देखता हूँ कि for example अभी हमने एक चीज़ की है कि Alibaba, one of Alibaba's modules for e-commerce, every single employee in Daraz, they have been trained in the basics of AI. In fact, every single one of us had to make an agent to pass the certification for the first module. Every employee at Daraz. And we've never done something like that for any specific industry. So that means it will have an impact. Now, the risk, like you said, is that how do I just waste my time to do things that are useless? Or does it allow me to make decisions faster? Now, the evolution of this, I feel, is that one, like I said, you have to keep the lens of productivity. And I think the interesting thing that will happen for leaders is that it will flatten, and you can already see in a lot of the high techs in the US, is that it's flattening the organizational structure as well. Because you don't need to, you don't need to explain to someone who needs to explain to someone who needs to explain to someone to do something. I had an example of this just 3-4 days ago. I had to make a slide deck of 6-7 slides. And usually if I would tell someone, "Kya ye banaye, phir idhar change kare." I did this slide deck while in another meeting, 7 slides. And it was.
Which software you were using?
I was using, so Alibaba has something called Spark, which has different models that they have built in it. It has, Gemini, it has Qwen, it has GPT, ChatGPT, etc. So you can use different models for different things. But the point being that, it makes my ability to do things faster. That means theoretically, I think the evolution will be that over time, as leaders, you should be able to manage more people as well. And whether it's people or agents. And I actually, during a town hall, I told people as well that in a year, if you're managing people, you should be managing agents as well. And one of your KPIs should probably be, what is your ROI on your tokens that you're using? And it sounds a bit absurd to say it out loud.
It's a new reality.
It's not, but it's a new reality. And, it's if you're not, but again, like you said, it's very easy to get lost in the fluff. So it's very important to keep your lens कि यार अगर मुझे productivity की तरफ से करना है, right? So how do I use AI to make myself more productive, whether it's in your personal life or your work?
And as a CEO, like how are you using AI? एक तो ठीक है कि आपके अपने systems के अंदर जैसे आपने कहा वो internal वो है, but as someone like running a business, like day to day, like how do you try to use AI? Like whether it's your personal work या वो.
Like from a business perspective, I think. जहाँ पहले अगर आपके पास data availability और फिर वो you had to have people looking at the data and giving you insights. And now actually if you have a good knowledge base connected to your AI models, your ability to get insights is a lot faster. My understanding of the business is a lot faster. My ability to take decisions is a lot faster. And actually my ability to execute directly is a lot faster as well. I gave obviously the brief example of a slide deck, but beyond that, like I said, right now we're very much focused on how do we make our sales teams more efficient? How do we make our finance teams more efficient? अगर आपको HR में recruiting करनी है, how do you become a lot more efficient in that and being able to attract the right sort of talent and being able to identify the right sort of talent as well. So I think again, अगर आप productivity के angle से देखें, so then you can actually, and I think this is why, you may say, "Okay, I spent some time building something on Claude, and did I waste my time or not?" But I can almost guarantee that in your unconscious mind and brain, and sometime when you're walking or something, आपका दिमाग चल रहा होगा कि यार मैं ये चीज़ कर सकता हूँ, and it'll actually add productivity in my life because आपने time लगाया to learn कि वो है क्या चीज़.
True.
तो जब मैं देखता हूँ कि सारे employees चीज़ में अगर वो train हो गए हैं, I look at myself, right? I got trained in it, and now my mind is able to see that यहाँ एक opportunity है, यहाँ भी opportunity है. So it's okay to waste your time in the beginning just to make something that doesn't add any value.
And also I think उसमें तो मैं तो इसको इस तरह भी देखता हूँ, जैसे अगर वीडियो है तो आपको अगर वीडियो का कुछ भी नहीं पता और आप किसी से करवा रहे हैं तो you have no idea, वो बंदा आपको जो मर्जी कहता रहेगा. तो like if you know what you are doing, तो at least you know to do that work with someone, it's also important to know about the work. और थोड़ा सा मुझे बताएं कि जो अगेन इन टर्म्स ऑफ द AI, कुछ जगहों के ऊपर तो ज़रा कंपनीज के अंदर HR में वो आ गया कि जी आपने यूज़ करना ही करना है, और लाइक यू नो द मॉड्यूल्स एंड एवरीथिंग. उसके अलावा how are you guys like trying to adapt as a company? Is there like a framework? या like how are you motivating your team? Because कुछ लोग तो जो ज़रा स्मार्ट है कि यार मेरा टाइम बचे है, वही टाइम मैं ज़रा खाली कर लूँगा और मैं यूज़ कर लूँगा. But how are you like trying to sort of, you know?
I'll be honest, we had to enforce the training very intensely. Where I told people that if you don't complete the training, आपको appraisal नहीं मिलेगा इस साल. Because the reality is that if you don't care enough to train yourself, maybe you're not the right person for an organization like ours. Right? You have to embrace the reality, and you have to embrace the impact that it will have and plan for it. And if you're like, yeah, मैं time निकाल के नहीं कर सकता, then that's your decision. So I think we had to force a lot of people to be able to, or some people to at least get them to start planning for it. And then in this, I think the impact, we've talked about from a organizational productivity perspective. There's a lot that comes from a seller's perspective, right? From a consumer's perspective. The ability of sellers to have insights is the same that I could have, right? Through agents, they can actually do things a lot faster. एक सिंपल एग्जांपल, अगर आपने कोई कुर्ते की पिक्चर आपने बाजार में लगाई हुई है, अब उसको क्लीन अप करना, उसका टाइटल लिखना, स्पेशली लाइक अ कंट्री लाइक आवर्स जहाँ एजुकेशन इज नॉट द सेम लेवल, theoretically that should be able to get done through AI, right? It should be able to put a nice AI model in the back and puts a kurti on her and says कि ये green kurti है, and this is the description of it, ये size है, फलाना फलाना फलाना. So आपकी चीज़ें आपके लिए enablement बहुत हो जाती है हमारे sellers के लिए. तो organizational productivity हो जाती है, seller enablement हो जाती है इसमें, right? जहाँ sellers इसमें नहीं कर सकते, उनको एक you have to get them up a steep curve. AI allows them to be able to do that. And then similarly, consumers have a lot more personalization, a lot more insights into what they're buying before they buy it.
और थोड़ा सा हम लोग इकोनॉमी पे वापस आए. अब इन्फ्लेशन, गैस प्राइसेस, पेट्रोल प्राइसेस, हम लोग ये तो ज़ाहिर है बहुत बड़ी कंपनीज कर रही हैं कि लोगों को वर्क फ्रॉम होम्स और वो सारा. एज अ बिजनेस उसके ऊपर क्या इम्पैक्ट आ रहा है? बिकॉज बिजनेस पे आएगा तो लोग वहाँ से जाएंगे या निकाले जाएंगे वो सारा. सो हाउ डू यू सी दैट कि वो एक लॉन्ग टर्म, बिकॉज ये वो चीज़ नहीं है कि महीने में फिक्स हो जाएगा. अभी जो कुछ पूरा ईरान वाला हुआ है वो उसका इम्पैक्ट इज गोइंग टू बी लाइक फॉर फ्यू मंथ्स और मे बी फ्यू ईयर्स इवन.
नहीं, इसमें ये बहुत अच्छा सवाल है. एंड टू बी ऑनेस्ट, हमने शुरू में वी टोल्ड एम्प्लॉइज कि आप हफ्ते में एक दिन आप घर से काम कर लें, फिर मैंने कहा या 2 दिन कर लें. But then eventually we had to say we have to go back to doing one day work from home. Of course, alhamdulillah, हमारी organization ऐसी है कि flexibility लोगों के पास होती है. If you're a mother and you have or elderly parents you need to take care of, we have alhamdulillah a lot of flexibility. Magar as a broad, if I think about why did we go from 2 to 1 despite petrol price not going down? Because productivity was getting hurt. मतलब मीटिंग्स में जिस तरीके से लोग आ रहे थे, जो आउटपुट मीटिंग का हो रहा था, it was not what it would be when you're there in person. And it's I think though we all spent some time during COVID working from home, वो जो productivity आपकी होती है ऑफिस में and being able to make decisions faster, that is getting hurt. And this is where I'm trying to balance this. Obviously the reality is कि cost लोगों के लिए it has become unbearable. Petrol price has become exorbitantly expensive. तो उसके साथ साथ पेट्रोल की वजह से ऑब्वियसली आपकी डायरेक्ट पेट्रोल इम्पैक्ट हुआ है, मगर बाकी चीज़ें भी आपके डायरेक्ट इन्फ्लेशन ही आया है in many ways, especially a country like ours that is so based on imports, and a lot of our foods are imported. So because of that, it's naturally we take a bigger hit. My view here is that it's a balancing act between productivity and ensuring that it's easy for the employees as well. And I think if we're able to find as an organization that people can have the same level of productivity and I don't mind increasing the number of days working from home, but I think I think it's a struggle. It's not easy to get the same level of productivity. अगर आप घर पे बैठे हुए हैं, meetings late शुरू हो रही हैं, लोग site से time पे नहीं आ रहे हैं, वो discussion just sometimes goes in a circle. And companies like ours, we need to be very that's really our power, is being able to make a decision in 15 minutes and move forward.
और जहाँ हम लोग इन्फ्लेशन और सारे ज़ाहिर इकोसिस्टम की बात कर रहे हैं, वहाँ जनरली इम्पोर्ट एंड एक्सपोर्ट इशूज़ इन पाकिस्तान, और उसमें भी हम देखते हैं कि इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर के मसाइल की चीज़ें पाकिस्तान में लेट आ रही हैं, जा रही हैं, यहाँ रखें, स्पेशली फॉर द स्मॉल बिजनेसेस. अगेन आप लोग तो ज़रा बिकॉज यू एफिलेटेड विद अलीबाबा, तो वो एक स्लाइटली वो है. एंड देन वी ऑल्सो सी कि गवर्नमेंट भी काफ़ी ज़्यादा इनिशिएटिव्स की कोशिश कर रही है. PSW है, पाकिस्तान सिंगल विंडो, दे हैव ट्राई कि यार ठीक है, आप ये जो 30-31 जगहों पे जाते हैं वो आप ना जाएं, लाइक देयर इज सेंट्रल पॉइंट, और यहाँ से हम सब कुछ करेंगे. सो वेयर डू यू सी इस तरह की जो कंपनीज हैं उनका रोल, एंड व्हाट अदर अपॉर्चुनिटीज डू यू फील लाइक कि और भी हैं जो और इफेक्टिव किया जा सकता है काम फॉर बिजनेसेस?
Yeah, I think companies like PSW are, it's actually they operate almost like a private entity within a public organization, and so I have a lot of respect for them. In fact, हमने इनके साथ बहुत closely काम किया है, where we've actually tried to help them with a lot of the technical expertise to figure out कि अगर आप e-commerce डिलीवरी करनी है, import and export, तो उसकी ट्रैकिंग कैसे होनी चाहिए, उनकी पेमेंट्स कैसे होनी चाहिए, logistics planning कैसे होनी चाहिए. And we worked actually very closely with Alibaba to actually provide the global best practices क्या होती हैं. And at the end of the day, as a Pakistani company, it's our responsibility to help Pakistan. And we're fortunate enough that we have a shareholder that's seen e-commerce all over the world, and उनको पता है कि what is the best way of doing it. तो हम उनसे काफ़ी हद तक चीज़ें सीखते हैं, and then we really try to work closely with PSW to help them in building the right systems, to have the right controls, the right governance, the right visibility. तो जो e-commerce की import और export है, it can be improved, because the reality is that most of जो पाकिस्तान की export होती है, that happens through ये जो containers के through जो चीज़ें आती हैं, right? एक आपका client Walmart है, आपने तौलिए भेज दी उनको, etc. But there's a lot of things that are available in Pakistan that people need access to in the region at least. इसमें जिस तरीके से वो एक्सपोर्ट होती हैं एंड ट्रैकिंग होती है, the trackability is difficult. And so that means that उसकी जो remittance होती है, that becomes a little bit gray as well. So it was important to enable these businesses कि अगर आपको आप घर पे बैठे हैं और आपको अपने एक प्यारा कुर्ता शलवार बनाया है, कोई दुबई से लेना चाहता है, कोई US से लेना चाहता है, यूरोप से लेना चाहता है, how do you ensure कि वो उन तक पहुंच सकता है और उसकी विजिबिलिटी भी उनके पास हो, उसमें इंपोर्ट और ये एक्सपोर्ट में भी आए, और फिर आपको पेमेंट भी उस तरीके से हो. सो इट्स स्टिल अ वर्क इन प्रोग्रेस, एंड आई एम होपफुल दैट इंशाल्लाह we can work with them to take the learnings from Alibaba and enable it.
And also, do you feel like there's a lot of opportunity, especially ये हमने सारा पूरा ईरान वाला जो चल रहा है, स्टेट ऑफ हार्मर्स, उसमें आई वाज जस्ट रीडिंग समवेयर कि आई थिंक मार्च के अंदर हम लोगों के पास जो शिपमेंट्स आई वो पिछले 1 साल से ज़्यादा थी. एंड बिकॉज द सिस्टम वाज सॉर्ट ऑफ क्वाइट इफेक्टिव कि वो बड़ा स्मूथली जो है गवर्नमेंट ने उसको लेके चले, और अच्छा खासा आई एम श्योर पैसे भी बने होंगे, एंड 60% डिस्काउंट्स आई थिंक हमने लोगों को दिए. सो वेयर डू यू सी द अपॉर्चुनिटी फॉर पाकिस्तान कि अगर हम लोग एसेंशली मैरीटाइम्स वाला जो इकोसिस्टम है उसमें इंपोर्ट एक्सपोर्ट्स में काफ़ी एक नेक्स्ट लेवल जा सकते हैं?
Yeah, I think this we can talk about geopolitics and the different ports around the region and how we play in it. But I think the opportunity, you as rightfully highlighted, the opportunity is right there. It is a changing order of things. So then, as a country which is fortunately located in some of these things, we should try to make the best of it. At the end of the day, I think it's it's the right time, and if the opportunity is there, and I think the opportunities will continue being there. But it'll be interesting to see how this evolves in the next year or so.
And also, as a leader, how are you thinking about things like दुनिया की इकोनॉमी कहाँ जा रही है, जंगें चल रही हैं, AI आ रहा है. It's not just like one thing you need to focus. कंपनी पाकिस्तान में कैसे ऑपरेट कर रही है, पाकिस्तान के सर्कमस्टांसेस क्या हैं. So because again, as a leader, it's more around like, strategic thinking. It's not, ठीक है, operational वो सारा भी साथ साथ है कि छह रहा है, तो अब ये जो काम 2 घंटे में कर रहे हैं, इसको तो 1 घंटे में करना चाहिए. So what is your thought process as a leader in this time and age? Like, I'm trying to understand, like, how are you thinking about these things?
I think more than ever now, it is very important to compartmentalize your brain because it is a chaotic time. It is chaotic in every way that you can imagine. Like you said, ek taraf se aapki, we're in a place which is very impacted by the geopolitical situation that's happening. साथ साथ में AI भी एक तरफ से आ रहा है. हमारी local economy, as much as we've made a recovery in the last few years, now suddenly with petrol prices going where they are, you're already starting to see what's happening with the interest rates and what's happening with the spending. So, and what's happening with the inflation. So we could go down that spiral again. So you're in a boxing ring and you're basically trying to punch one side of it, or aapka, someone else jumps in the ring and you're trying to defend. So I think in this, it's very important as a leader to compartmentalize all of these things.
But how to do that? Because subah aap uthte hain, to it's just like, ye karo, it's just like so, it's just
I'm not always good at it, but I try at least to, I think we talked about last time as well, the importance of routines as a leader. Certain things that, like, I know for me, for example, I cannot control anything after 9 until nighttime. So I control my mornings. Like I have a routine that I follow religiously. And agar wo 19-20 bhi ho jati hai, then my brain has an issue. So I need to control the first few hours of my days from the point I wake up. So then I know that theek hai, din chaotic hoga, I can at least start putting them into different components.
And what's it look like? Like 9 a.m. se pehle?
9 a.m. से पहले तो मैं जैसे फजर पढ़ के अगर वापस सोता हूँ, then I wake up and first thing I do is I have a very, my coffee routine is it's a ritual that I wake कर रहा होता हूँ, hand grind बहुत मगर वो actually it's also a time when you don't have your phone and you're just present. फिर जाके I sit in an ice bath. I think I told you about this last time as well. Then I go to the gym. तो वो जो 2-2.5 घंटे होते हैं,
it's preparing you for,
and then it's something I can control, right? And to be honest, I think even recently I have started valuing a lot more about breath work and actually meditating and being very deliberate about your breathing, because जब आपका दिन शुरू होता है, no matter who you are, if you're as a leader or anyone, actually the days are chaotic now, so I think इसमें you have to at least, for me, it's work to control parts of my day that I know I can control. And then I think when you compartmentalize, then you can hopefully, jahan cheezein aayengi that are chaotic, you're mentally ready to be able to tackle it. Because I think no matter what I say, I know that perhaps it'll get more chaotic before it gets less chaotic. And it's for the whole world, right? Dunya ke liye in the last few years it's been difficult from a soul perspective for, I think, most of the world. So I think it's, you have to, as a human, know what are the things I need to do to be able to at least control what I can control. And then when you go into your day and you have things like whether it's AI or the geopolitical situation, how that's impacting your business, you have to take it head on. You cannot just sort of say, kal dekhenge. Like I said, AI ki taraf dekhne, like how do I put the lens of productivity to make my business a lot more resilient and sustainable.
So lastly, अभी हमने देखा कि लास्ट ईयर बजट आया, काफ़ी चीज़ें चेंज हुई. अब अगेन ऑन अ वेरी मैक्रो लेवल हालात क्या हैं पाकिस्तान के, इकॉनमी, बिजनेस चेंज हो रहे हैं. ज़ाहिर है बहुत ज़्यादा टैक्स के ऊपर भी ज़ाहिर है पीपल आर लाइक अच्छा यार अब क्या होगा, पहले ही पेट्रोल डबल ट्रिपल हो चुका है. और लास्ट ईयर भी रफली आई थिंक ई कॉमर्स के ऊपर 2-4% जो है वो तकरीबन टैक्स लगा. सो what are you hoping right now, one from the government, what are you thinking, like what are your expectations, also like what do you want government to do in this fiscal year का जो planning हो रही है?
Obviously एक intense topic है और इसमें हमने बहुत closely government के साथ काम किया इसमें, and I'll share my thoughts on us as an industry and where we are. My view is कि अगर आप इस इंडस्ट्री को बहुत जल्दी टैक्स करते हैं, it's like milking a cow before it can give milk. And really जो e-commerce की ताकत है, and especially for a country like Pakistan, it is job creation. And that means that you will earn more from taxation, but it will not, if you try to just get your money out today, you're going to kill the job creation part of it. And मैं देखता हूँ कि जैसे इसमें दो चीज़ें हुई हैं. एक तो ये हुआ है कि there's some players that have actually gone towards not being compliant across all parts of the supply chain, whether it's on the seller side or actually logistics companies, big logistics companies have stopped being compliant. So you force sometimes people to, away from compliance. And then companies like ours that want to push towards compliance, we have to generally have an increase in cost and pricing. और वो फिर seller eventually consumer की तरफ पास करता है. और देखिए अगर आपको, if you look at e-commerce in a country like Pakistan, which is price sensitive, अगर मैं आपको बताऊं कि यार ये कप आपको एक दुकान पे 100 रुपए का मिल रहा है, मगर आप अगर ऑनलाइन खरीदेंगे तो 105 का मिलेगा और आपको बस 2-4 मिनट वॉक करनी है, तो आप कहाँ से खरीदेंगे? आप जाके दुकान से खरीदेंगे, right? Unless the convenience outweighs the cost. But in a country like Pakistan, where cost is very important, we are in a highly sensitive price market. It's important कि हम लोग price parity maintain करें. And as a company हम इस पे बहुत मेहनत करते हैं. मतलब लिटरली मैं SKU by SKU मुझे पता है कि कौन से SKU जो बिक रहे हैं, मैं उस पर टीम हैज़ टू मॉनिटर द प्राइसिंग एंड मेक श्योर कि वो प्राइसिंग ऊपर नहीं जा रही है वर्सेस ऑफलाइन. मगर अगर वो स्ट्रक्चरली सेलर डिसएडवांटेज पे हो गया है तो वो क्या करेगा? उसकी कॉस्ट ऊपर चली गई है, अब वो पास ऑन तो उसको करना पड़ेगा. वो बोलेगा भाई मैं 2 या 4% कम कमाऊंगा. How is that going to work? So I think my opinion here is that I think all of us have a responsibility to contribute to the tax net. And I think that agar aap offline, agar aapki policies are strong, but your enforcement is not that good, then you need to keep that in mind as well when you somewhere where you're trying to do enforcement online. Because look, I understand as obviously as a country, we need to increase our tax net. But if you just start going after this little pie here and just choke it, eventually you keep turning, it's going to crack. Right? So I think you have to be careful about how much you tax an industry just because you can. Because you're like, yeah, offline karna bahut mushkil hai, idhar jo hai udhar. It's similar, to the salary class, right? It's a similar sort of, so you have to do it very delicately. Or you have to say, ठीक है, अगर ये मैं चीज़ आज कर दूंगा तो 10 साल बाद क्या होगा? और ये एक ऐसी इंडस्ट्री है जहाँ आपको डॉक्यूमेंटेशन पे फोकस करना चाहिए. Because no matter what, अगर कोई ऑनलाइन कुछ भी बेचता है, they're documented. So you come under the documented economy. You know what is your actual, the size of your e-commerce industry, because more and more people will partake in it. My argument has actually always been कि आप incentivize करें. जिस तरीके से अगर आप रेस्टोरेंट पे जाते हैं तो आप कार्ड से पेमेंट करते हैं तो आपका टैक्स कम होता है versus cash. Now what does it do? It forces you to be like, यार मुझे कार्ड से देना है. बंदा बोलेगा
इकोसिस्टम इस तरह का
exactly.
उसके अंदर.
तो आप एज अ कंज्यूमर डिमांड करते हैं कि भाई मुझे कार्ड से पेमेंट करनी है. तो अगर वो रेस्टोरेंट वाले के पास नहीं है तो आप बोलेंगे भाई मैं बराबर वाले बंदे के पास जा रहा हूँ. आप वहाँ जाएंगे, वो कार्ड लेगा. तो एज अ सेलर ही इज गोना से, एज अ रेस्टोरेंट बोलेगा भाई मुझे कार्ड मशीन की जरूरत है. व्हाट हैपेंस? Comes as part of the net. So e-commerce has to be addressed in a similar way, because yes, it's easy to just increase taxes on them because it's there, but then it will not be an industry that's going to give you something in 5 years, 10 years, or even in a few years from now. So you have to do this very delicately, and that's always been my discussion with the government as well. And I also sit on the board of Pakistan Revenue Automation Limited. So there's a lot of work we're doing on the tech side to increase the tax net. But on an industry like e-commerce, you have, and digital industries generally, you have to do it delicately, because if you do it too aggressively, you're gonna kill a chicken that's gonna lay a golden egg a few years from now.
Ehsan, thank you so much for taking the time out. It's always lovely talking to you. Or I think किसी दिन सुबह आपकी routine, I need to come and see probably, and
as long as you're gonna jump in the ice bath.
Yeah, I will. But thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me as always.
Thank you.